Audio Magazine.
We could try this.
Now, General American Life and its sales representatives from coast to coast present the General American Radio Theater.
So we ought to have a little piece of music to open up. You know, a sort of sound logo or theme.
Time marches on. This is a modern American story about a man named John Nadaeu, like plateau, N-A-D-E-A-U. That was John in the opening scene. Well, anyway, before we get started, I'd like to introduce some of the characters involved in this extravaganza. Of course, there are the gals from the office. Wave to the camera, ladies. That's nice, thank you. Then there's the boss. There he is. How you doing there, Chief? And we can't forget the members of the Café de NHQ Dinner Club. Remember, there's no other club like it in the world. And then there are the folks from Barber Group and Intervision. They usually remain behind the scenes, but they're responsible for making this extravaganza a coming attraction. Well, hopefully you'll find it an attraction. It certainly is coming, though. Oh, and don't forget Scott Betz. Here he comes. Hi, Scott. And here's the rest of the gang. Hello, everybody. Now that you know the characters, let's see the attraction.
What the hell was that? All I know from this is the man retired.
He's right. We're not getting at the true John Nadaeu. But first we need to come up with a creative treatment to kind of hold everything together. You know, he really enjoyed writing parodies.
Well, we gotta find out what he likes.
Absolutely what he likes, who he loves, what he knows. Does the man have any hobbies? John Nadaeu, not nearly long enough. Does he have a middle name? Can we use it?
He doesn't have a middle name.
I got it! A film noir cinema classic.
That's his favorite genre.
You have rarely met a guy like John.
I'm afraid that this isn't exactly the type of key man that we had in mind.
Few men have been so handsome, so debonair, so dangerous to know.
Now, how does the concept work in the real world?
It was as natural for John to stand out from among thousands of other men as it was for him to be surrounded by luxury, mystery, and fame.
This is Dick Alfeld of Price Waterhouse, the famous accounting firm. Well, let's see what would have happened to our friends at the Mid-State Construction Company if they had used business value lighting.
I shall never forget the day John retired. A silver sun burned through the sky like a huge magnifying glass. It was the hottest day in my recollection. I felt as if I were the last man our age in the company. I was the only one who really knew him. And I had just begun to write his story when another of those executives came to see me. I made him wait. I could watch him through the half-open door. I noticed his attention was fixed on a small computer. He had called earlier and said he wanted to see me and ask questions about John. The executive thinks that by examining John's video productions, we will find clues and insights into the real John.
Welcome to my morning. Welcome to my day. I'm the one responsible. I made it just this way.
This is the first videotape on micromaps.
And we have a liftoff.
And liftoff.
Hello, I'm Dick Ford.
Yes, it's the new disability income game, Wheel of Misfortune.
Those are our contestants competing on behalf of their companies for the privilege of serving the needs of America's underinsured. And here to keep track of the points is our beautiful scorekeeper and hostess, Dolores DeLovely. Now, here's the first question.
Good morning, Jenny. Good morning, Jack.
Hi, Marianne.
Marianne, good morning. So, ask me what's new.
Marianne, what is new?
Well, I saw the doctor Saturday.
This is very important. Hold the mayo.
I do declare I believe it's JR himself.
That's right, LB. And I'm out to skin your hide.
What? Who? Oh, you gotta be kidding. Yes, he's here, but it's all he can do to keep the baseball score straight.
Hey, I gotta tell you, my beat is sports. I don't know much about insurance, executive benefits, any of that stuff.
Buzz, you don't have to worry. A lot of people don't know much about insurance.
So long for Watch Your Wallet.
Mind your money.
Mind your money.
And now, General American presents Exciting Jury Trials. Today, the case of the conspiring competitors. In its advertising campaigns, General American has claimed its disability income product portfolio has become the standard by which disability income protection will be judged. General American's competitors have banded together to present a class action suit, accusing General American of fraudulent advertising practices and seeking a permanent injunction.
Have you seen all the top disability companies represented here today?
It looks bad for General American.
These General American policies really sound pretty good.
There was the conditional receipt in the front. Great, if you could understand it. Section B has to do with traditional life insurance applied for. We certainly hope it helps.
That was good, but I think you're a little bit off mic, so I'll have you move in a little bit closer to the microphone, and I think you'll get better voice quality.
Okay.
Take it from the top.
Okay, we're rolling on track 12 when you're set. Here we go.
Hi, this is Mary Cremoga calling from General American Insurance. I was wondering if you could...
How are the ID cards coming for that new group case, Linda?
Buy term and invest the difference. Black Bart. Those are fighting words.
This wasn't the first time these two adversaries faced off. Needless to say, the masked man knew how to deal with the situation. The outcome? Let's just say the forces representing truth and honesty prevailed.
I've participated in many of John's video extravaganzas over the years. John also did a number of audio tapes, and most of the audio tapes were in a pretty serious vein, but then we had a number of them that were in a humorous vein as well. And in one particular tape, it was again in conjunction with the introduction of a product series. And we had a series of tapes that had me supposedly in various locations. And one of those that he had, I was in San Francisco Bay and was broadcasting from San Francisco Bay while clinging to a buoy. Back then, when we did the tape, my southern accent was a little stronger than it is now, and buoy came out more boy. And that one didn't go over real well with Bob Orton, who was who was the agency VP at the time. And so we had to explain to him, Bob, this is a buoy. This is something that floats in the bay and in water, et cetera, et cetera. And he finally calmed down, but it took a while to convince him that it was okay. But we've had so many good things. John was one of the first people I got to know when I came with the company over 17 years ago. He is a man that is of high integrity, an absolute gentleman in every respect, extremely talented, one of the real joys to work with in my tenure at the company, and one that we're going to sorely miss. I'm going to miss his talent, his dry sense of humor, and I'm going to miss that voice. You know, I'm used to hearing those Nadeau voiceovers in all of the audio tapes and in a number of the videotapes, and he's left his mark here, and he's really been an absolute pleasure to know and to be with, and I just want to wish him the absolute very best of everything in his retirement. Nadeau has always been an inspiration, but I always thought if we could just have a blending of my good looks and his voice, what a dynamite package that would be.
Sure, yeah. I wanted to kill him. I didn't. I wanted to kill him. I mean, who wouldn't? 75 setups, sync setups in one day? Guy's mad. The guy's crazy.
Psst, psst. Hey, Mike.
What?
Wrong script.
Oh, wrong script? Oh. John Nadaeu was one of the most delightful people I've ever had a chance to work with. The consummate professional. Collaborative, friendly, always on time. Yeah, John, you're the best. Better?
You know, I've worked for John Nadaeu more years than anybody else in the company.
Yeah, that's true. I probably have worked for him the second longest.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of good memories, I think. And,
yeah, I think so.
I've really enjoyed working with him. And
I enjoyed working with him. He taught us a lot. I learned a lot of English from him as I went along. Improved my country skills.
But you know what? There's a lot of funny stories.
Yeah.
That goes along through the years. I remember when I was doing the annual report the first time through, and Sandra Johnson had set up that I was going to be in Philadelphia and then Chattanooga, and then she went on vacation for a couple weeks, and then you went ahead and
I had to make changes to that trip. Remember that?
Right.
Yeah. And
so we switched it. So then all of a sudden I was supposed to be in Chattanooga, then Philadelphia.
She came back and didn't know it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So then the client calls up and says, "Oh, when's Keith going to meet me?" He said he'd meet me in a couple hours, and Sandra said, "No, he's in Chattanooga." And then I heard everything broke loose. What happened? Because Gordon said he'd never seen him so red in his life.
Sandra called into John's office and said, "Keith's not where he's supposed to be. He's in the wrong town," or some such thing like that. And John came running out and he said, "Claudette, find Keith. Find him now." He said, if he's sitting on a bar stool somewhere, I'll just have to fire him. Find him. And he was, I mean, people came running from the other side of the floor. They had heard him hollering at me. So I got on the phone and started looking for you.
Yeah, that was funny, because he came back later and told me this story, and he goes, I'm sorry. He goes, "I didn't know you, and I thought that for sure that you were there in Chattanooga drinking," so he didn't know me very well, did he?
No, he didn't. He was very fair, and he was a good boss. He was, he always let me have a chance to learn new things. He encouraged me to learn.
That's true. I'll tell you what, from my perspective, I think John is and was a master of his craft. I mean, he demanded excellence. He also was a mentor to me, because he really taught me that everything you do, you have to do with excellence. You just don't rush off and get something done. You do it right. And when I came to General American, I was kind of flashy. I out of journalism school, had been a couple years with another company, so I mean I know what I'm doing. I know how to write. But John really improved my writing about 300%, and you know, I appreciate everything he's done for me, because without his guidance, I don't think I'd be where I'm at today.
Yeah, you know, I think that he has a lot of people that have worked for him that he's mentored and really grown over the years. They all came in as novices, and they matured and grew professionally under his guidance. He was a master at that.
Yes.
Soon we were standing before the man himself. A real gent he was. Silk cravat, top hat. It was casual day. "I'm John Nadaeu, N-A-D-E-A-U, he said with beautiful erudition. "Yeah, I've heard of Nadeau, but how do I know you are who you say you are?" "Put me to the test," he said. "Okay, I heard Nadeau had a rapier wit, so how about going head-to-head with me?" He said, "Battle of wits with you would be like dueling with an unarmed man." Pretty good answer, I thought. "Okay, Nadeau's supposed to be something of a raconteur. Tell me a story about the days in radio." 2 hours later, I had enough. He said, "Are you finished, Mr. Kavanaugh?" I said, "No, but maybe you are. I've got one more test for you, Mr. Nadeau, and this is it. I heard that Nadeau knows more subjects than any person alive. So I'm thinking of a song written by a composer who was born in Peru, Illinois. Can you tell me who that composer is?" He said, "I think you're talking about Cole Porter. And he wasn't born in Illinois, it was Indiana. It wasn't Peru, it was Peru." I said, "I've heard enough. You're who you say you are. Okay, Mr. Nadeau, I'm all yours. What do you want me for?" He said, "Well, I've got a little project for you, Mr. Kavanaugh. It's an annual report, and money is no object." "Aha," I said, "I've got you now. Money is no object? You're not Mr. Nadeau."
Well, John hired me into the company almost 21 years ago, and he gave me the writing test, as he gave to everybody, and I passed it. We don't use that test any longer. I think that's kind of outmoded, but he didn't have a desk for me originally. I had to sit in a neighboring department that had a desk to spare up by the windows right here on the second floor, and John always referred to me as his foreign correspondent, and I really was. I was quite a bit separated from the rest of the department, but he always would stop by and check in on me and make me feel like part of the team, and that made a big difference. The famous red pen that John has wielded for many years, I was its victim along with everybody else. The thing he always got me on was commas. He struck out more commas out of my copy than probably anybody else's. I happen to be fond of commas. John doesn't like them at all. And I have to say, John, you owe me big time on commas over the years. Well, John's always been a good friend to me and to everybody in the division, and he literally will be irreplaceable to us, not only for his knowledge of the English language, but also for his wit, which was always at the ready, and for his understanding of the business, not only in the insurance side, but the business of producing communications, both print and video. He's probably more skilled at that on both sides than anybody that's ever worked here and may ever work here. And I learned a lot from him, and I can just join with everybody else in saying that he'll really be missed, and we want to see more of him in the future in retirement to stop by and see us.
It was pouring rain at National Airport in Washington last night when I got the call to be here today, but I wouldn't have missed it. Working with you has been one of the highlights of my career. You're the toughest editor I know and one of the best. I enjoy your sense of humor. I admire your fair-mindedness and your honesty. I think you inspire respect in everyone who knows you. In a business probably better known for strategy than creativity, you're a real inspiration. John, I'm no good at being noble, but I know that the problems of a few annual reports don't add up to a hill of beans in this crazy world. At least not for you, John Nadaeu, anymore. Here's looking at you, kid.
I think when John retires, we're going to see that he experiences some good news and some bad news. The good news is there'll be more time to work in the yard, more time to travel, more time to go biking on the Katy Trail with Beryl, and he'll have some time to write that award-winning screenplay he's been planning all these years. The bad news, though, is he will miss the camaraderie of his fellow workers here in the communications division, and he will especially miss the lively social repartee that we enjoyed during lunch hour downstairs in our automated lunchroom, and especially the cuisine and delicacies of the food service there. But I expect that he'll want to sneak back in from time to time just to renew that and to experience that again. John's done an awful lot for this company and for this industry, and he is in fact the chronicler, if that is a word, of the history of this company for almost 2 decades. So we wish him well and good health and happiness and great retirement years. Glad to see him retiring while he's still got some snap in his garters. So, John, it's goodbye tension and hello pension.
Well, I've worked with John for 11 years, in fact, almost to the day, since I came to General American in 1988. And over those years, in working with John and doing videos and audios, but mostly videos, John has made me look both professional and playful. And so I've had a chance to see John in action from many different points of view, but John has always been the consummate professional in everything that he's done. In fact, so professional that when he doesn't think I've done it right, he makes me do it again until I do. And that can sometimes be many, many times. I want to also comment on what a great job John has done in our annual reports. I happen to bring along one this year. It's this year's annual report. And out of the many John's done, this is probably the very best one ever. It's graphically interesting, the text is good, it's just really a high-class piece of work, and one I'm particularly proud of. John's always been creative in his approach to things, whether it's video, audio, or in print. I'm most particularly impressed with his total commitment to getting it right. And it's not only the standard he expects of me and everyone else who works with him, but it's what he expects of himself. And I think that's going to be a great memory of all of us working with John. And it's also going to be something that John should take particular pride in. I'd finally comment, I guess, that the fact is that we will miss one of the great voices in our company. There just isn't any voice that sounds so broadcast quality as John Nadaeu. And whatever the subject matter on tape, leading us into a discussion on something of importance or a periodic update, it sounded as if it came right out of the studios of NBC in New York. John, we're going to miss you tremendously, and I'm going to miss you particularly. Have a wonderful retirement.
No. These are the people he works with. Hell, some of these people work for him. They have to like him. We need to know the real John Nadaeu.
That's right. Let's talk to his family. They know the real John Nadaeu.
Good idea. He's got a family, doesn't he?
Sure, he has a family. He has a wife.
Talk to the wife.
He has a daughter.
Talk to the daughter.
What about the son?
Does he have a son?
I think so.
Talk to the son.
I can see it all now.
From everything I hear, he was a creative little boy. He had a store. He had his own little radio station and would put on shows for the family. He had a favorite uncle who took fishing boats out of Boston, and John went along with Uncle Gus on the fishing boats. And I don't know if he was sympathetic to the fish or what, but to this day, he will not and cannot eat fish. John was on a Fulbright exchange to England and was teaching in my hometown of Paddington. He was teaching English to the English, which I thought was a little presumptuous, but once I got to know him, of course, that was not the case. He was a very good teacher. We actually met through my church. He was teaching with a young man who was a member of our church, and that's how we met. We dated for a year, and then he came back to this country, and we courted for another year by mail. And so he proposed by mail. We had many things in common, and neither one of us had a middle name. So that was another thing we had in common. John always tried to give me a middle name, though. He always did. He always tried to give me a middle name because my name was Green. My maiden name was Green. And so he, used to explore the possibilities of my initials, like Ursula or Alice, or that's one of his favorite things to do, actually. I know, we need to get a life. Well, he's been at General American now for 23 years, so there are lots of projects and lots of people he will miss. I think one of his absolute favorite projects has been Solutions Magazine. I know he's going to miss that. And the annual report. The one thing I know he will not miss as far as the annual report is concerned are the press checks at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, and I won't miss them either.
The Nadeau children fell victim to the red pen on many an occasion. The red pen came out for school reports and book reports.
I could tell how good a paper
it was going to be by how much red pen there was. And as much as I hated the red pen, when I got to Mizzou and had to do papers on my own, I did pretty well. I did pretty well.
When I was a little girl, I started taking ballet lessons with the Berkshire Ballet, and they were in dire need of somebody to do some public relations for them. So my dad offered his services, and he traded some public relations work for my ballet lessons. So I think Dad was largely responsible for getting me involved in ballet and having my lessons paid for through his PR work.
My dad's handwriting is often very hard to read. And, you know, I equate him to a doctor sometimes. I just can't read his handwriting. But when I was in high school and I was running a lot, my dad used to have to fill out the entry forms because I was under the age of 18 and he was my legal guardian, so he had to do the forms. And I had run a race in high school and I actually won it. And I was so excited because I knew that because I won the race, they were going to announce my name over the loudspeakers and everything. So, you know, the moment comes and I'm all excited and I hear, you know, and in first place, Phil Maddox. And it was, my moment of glory was just ruined. I'm looking around, who's this Phil Maddox? I thought I won the race.
Can you say hi, Grandpa? Hi, Grandpa. We were so excited when 2 years ago, Emma was born on April 22nd, which is Dad's birthday, Grandpa's birthday. So we've got 2 Tauruses now in the family, both equally charming, equally stubborn, and equally determined. And it's a really neat thing that we have in the family now, that the 2 of them share a very special day together. So say bye-bye, Grandpa. Bye-bye, Grandpa.
Exactly. Any of these approaches would be just fine. It'd give us a sort of a...
workmanlike script to produce.
As long as the audience understands the real John Nadaeu.
That's what's important. Another cinema classic.
Ah, yes. I can see it now.
Let's open up a bottle of wine.
Another of John's favorites.